Hi there. Welcome once again to Shorty on the Fly. Today's pattern is a parachute sulfur emerger tied on a size 18 clink hammer hook. So let's go ahead and get started. You might notice that I'm using a midge jaw for this. If you have one, they can come in really handy. It's just a lot easier to hold that hook in the vise with these smaller jaws here. So there we go. We got the hook and the vise. For thread today, I'll be using Gordon Griffith's sheer 14-aught because this is a smaller pattern. So we're going to go ahead and get the thread started on the hook in the usual fashion. And if you don't have a clink hammer hook, you can do this on a light wire scud hook as well, say like a Daiichi 1130 or something of that nature. For my post today, I'm using poly yarn in white, and I have taken and split the hank down the middle, so I only have about half on there. You don't need that great big hunk of wing post on here. So now go ahead, we're going to get the thread about halfway up that flat portion of the hook. Use a pinch wrap to tie it in, and then go ahead and wrap backwards until we get to about the bend of the hook, and come in and trim it off at an angle so that that'll help us create a nice taper. Now go ahead and cover up those butts and come back up to the front and deal with the post. Now I'm lifting the post up, and I'm going to take some wraps to form a thread dam in order to stand that up like so. That should be good. Yeah, that little wispy one's bothering me too, so I'm going to go ahead and get in and trim that out of there. There we go. All right, now go ahead and lift your thread up to horizontal and start taking wraps right up the post, one on top of the other, right up. You probably want about the length of the eye of the hook back to where the post is, so that length there, and then come back down. Okay, there we are. That's pretty good. Now what we want to do is trim this off. I want to make it about the hook gap in length, so pull it back, give it a trim, and there we have it. And by the way, that little injury that you see on my thumb is a good example of why we debarb the hooks. The hook went in, the hook came right out without any issue. Now, for the shuck, I'm going to be using sparkle yarn in a ginger color. And I've taken just a small hank of that, and I want to come in and even up the tips so that everything ties in nicely. Okay. Go ahead and grab it and take it right down. And I'm going to go down to the point where the barb used to be, about right there, and then come in and once again about the gap of the hook, maybe a little longer on this one, and there we've got our trailing shuck. Now for the abdomen, I'm using orange goose biots. Okay, and what I've done is I have pulled the biot off of the stem, which leaves us with this little notch you can see here. And that tells us which way to orient the biot on the hook. I'm going to face that toward the eye of the hook and then come in and capture the tip right here at the bottom. And wrap all the way back up. Now, I'm going to start this with my hands and start to wrap, and what you'll see is that raised edge is to the rear. And I'm going to come in and grab this with my hackle pliers because it's a little bit easier to deal with that way. Work our way right up the hook. Again, that gives us that little raised edge, which I think is kind of cool looking. If you want it flat, just turn the biot around the other way, and you'll have a flat surface on which to work. Okay. And there you have it. Come in and trim away the waist. Go ahead and cover that up. And that's our abdomen. That's our body. Looking good. All right. Now, we need a hackle. And I've selected an appropriately sized hackle in a cream color. What we want to do is come in and strip off some of the bottom of that. And get those fibers out of there. And now we're ready to tie in. And we're going to tie this in with the convex or the concave side toward the post. And that's going to allow us to make wraps that don't trap the hackle. Okay, and go right up the post and right back down. Okay. And now for my thorax, I'm using SLF Prison Dummy in an amber color, which I think looks just great. And we're taking the smallest little wisp of that and spinning it on the thread. And then take a couple of wraps. You don't need a lot of this. Round, around, and there we go. Now I'm going to take a couple of wraps right around the post and let my thread hang off in front of the post because that helps me to finish it the way I want to. Once again, I'm going to use hackle pliers. 18 is kind of small to do the wrap with your hand, so I've got some rotary hackle pliers here that really help things out a lot. Start wrapping that around, and you'll see each successive wrap goes under the previous, right around until we get to the base. Then I'm just going to come in with my thread, and I'm angling the thread down slightly so as to not trap hackle fibers if I can help it. Go around like 3 times, and then come in and trim away the excess. And I like to finish my post, I like to finish my fly on the post. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to come in with my hackle pliers, or excuse me, hackle pliers, right, with my whip finish tool and grab it like I normally would, but then invert it upside down and just take a couple, 3 wraps, 4 wraps around the post. And there you have it. One Sulphur parachute emerger. Now, this is the one we use for those orangish sulfurs. There's also a version that I use that I tie in white. It's exactly the same procedure, except I use a white biot instead of a orange one, and we use that for the pale evening dun around here. So it's a handy little pattern, not too difficult to tie. Keep them in your box. You can even tie them a little bigger. Sometimes you're going to see that, and they might go up to a size 16. Not much larger than that, though. So I hope you found the video helpful. If you have, please leave a comment or subscribe to the channel. We love hearing from you. I bid you peace.